Hi, I'm Mark Rabago, and we're at Crown Plaza Resort, Saipan, with the first sit-down interview with Delegate Candidate Galvin Deleon Guerrero. Hello, Dr. G.
Hi, Mark.
And thanks for agreeing to this one-on-one interview.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so first question. You know, with more than a year left before the 2026 elections, why declare now your intention to run for CNMI Delegate to U.S. Congress?
Thank you for that question, and it's a great question, and I think people ought to know my reason, So, the main reason is because I remain committed to serving as NMC's president, and I wanted to give myself enough time so that I don't have to give up my day job. I can continue leading the college and be able to spread out my campaign work a little bit more throughout the, over a year that's left before the election. So that's the main reason is I don't want to give up on serving as the leader of NMC. So that's the main reason.
Yeah, thanks for answering that because some of the feedback from social media is they're asking why not just simply resign from NMC once you announce your candidacy for Congress.
Well, I mean, I serve at the pleasure of the Board of Regents, so if the board asks me to resign, then I will. That's something we will discuss. But I did discuss this with the board chair, and we spent quite a bit of time kind of going over the college's policies and procedures, as well as local statutes, and working closely with our legal counsel and our leadership team. We determined that I can continue serving as president. So that's that's the assurance I want to give our college community, that I'm not going anywhere anytime soon.
Okay, but since you're a salaried employee at NMC, how can you make sure that the college won't be a campaign stop? And then also the issue of some of your campaign team also on campus. How can you assure?
That's a very good question. We have very strict policies and procedures. In fact, our procedure about political activities has a very long list of what you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to, but primarily what it is you're not allowed to campaign during working hours. You're not allowed to use your position or resources in any way to convince people to vote for you or vote for your side. And throughout the college's history, we've experienced a lot of elections, and I find it reassuring to see that the college, especially in the past decade or so, has been able to insulate itself from politics. We like to say that at NMC, this is a politics-free zone.
Zero politics on campus.
Yeah, zero politics on campus. And at the same time, we respect everyone's academic freedom and their First Amendment rights. So, you can speak freely, but you can't impose your will upon anyone else. So I'm confident that the policies and procedures which have been upheld for over a decade will continue to be upheld. And I will hold myself to that as well as our Board of Regents, as well as our leadership team and our legal counsel.
So NMC employees, NMC students don't necessarily have to vote for you, right?
Oh, no. I refuse to campaign on campus during working hours. They vote for whomever they want to vote for.
Okay. And then another question is, people are asking, why run as independent and not under the Democratic Party, for instance, where your uncle, our first congressman, Gregorio Sablan, was under, especially during his last term?
Well, I mean, a little bit of history helps here. That his first few terms, he was an independent as well.
Yes.
And the reason he ran as an independent is the same reason I'm running as an independent, is I want to be able to represent both sides of the aisle and work with both sides of the aisle. But more importantly, I want to represent the entire Commonwealth. And, the entire Commonwealth is neither Republican nor Democrat. We are all members of this great community, and I think I don't want anyone to feel like I'm alienating them because I'm aligning myself with one party or over another.
Mm-hmm. last time you ran for any elected position, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes.
was under the ticket of former Governor Juan Nekay Babaota, right?
Yes.
That was back in 2009.
Yes.
And you and him lost in the GOP primary.
Yes.
How confident are you now that you will win this delegate seat?
Well, I am confident that my team and I are going to work really, really hard to get out there and really learn more from our community, really listen to what people have to say and to really find out what they're going through. The last time I ran, that was in a primary election, and that was soon after I ran. I also ran for the Board of Education. That was an elected position, and so I have some experience in elections, and that's just the name of the game. You win some or you lose some. But I think the main thing is you got to be sure that your heart's in the right place, and that you're out there to serve the community and not your own ego or your own agenda and special interests. And that's what I'm going to be focused on with my team.
Can you also share now, who makes up your campaign team?
Well, we're still kind of putting that team together, but the current chairperson is Gregorio Kiluli Camacho Sablan, and the treasurer is Lucy Nielsen, the former Secretary of Finance under Teno's last administration.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and they're going to add more as time goes on.
Yes,
right?
yes. And it's interesting because Kiluli is a Democrat, Lucy is a Republican. So, I think...
It's a unified front.
Yes, exactly, yeah. So, we're still putting together our committee, and, because it's so early, there's still a lot of things we need to assemble, and definitely finalizing that committee is going to be one of those things that we do.
And where will your headquarters be? People ask.
We're still looking. We're still trying to get it. We're still trying to get our website up and running. We're still trying to get, pamphlets to hand out. So there's still a lot of work to be done. But again, the advantage of announcing so early is you kind of give yourself time and grace to work on those things gradually.
Okay. If successfully elected, what will be your priorities as delegate?
I have kind of three priorities. The first priority is to really make as many friends as possible in Washington. Republicans, Democrats, within the legislative branch, of course, but also within the executive branch. I fully intend to reach out to federal entities like the U.S. Department of Education, even if it's closing down, FEMA, U.S. Department of Labor. I want to reach out to these entities that have regulatory impact on the CNMI, but also have resources that could benefit the CNMI. So I want to forge all those partnerships, all those relationships to ensure that the NMI is not left behind. So that's the first thing I intend to do. And it reminds me of what I've heard Congressman Kiluli once say. He said when he first went to Washington, he got knee pads because he was constantly on his knees begging for support for the CNMI. So that's what I intend to do. That's job one. Second, what I intend to do is really focus on different ways we can help revitalize the CNMI economy using our network at the national and federal level, using federal resources, using congressional resources, using whatever resources we can and whatever contacts we can get to help improve the economy of the CNMI. And then the third thing is to reprioritize social assistance programs that have really come under jeopardy. The current Congressional Budget Office, for instance, recently calculated that the current Big Beautiful Bill could cause about 13 million Americans to lose things like Medicaid. And that would be tragic for that to happen to us here in the Northern Marianas, where currently we have almost 20,000 people on Medicaid, and that's projected to almost double in the next year or two. So And then, looking at other things like the cuts to the Pell Grants, like the current budget proposal proposes $2.7 billion in cuts in the first year, and then almost $10 billion in the next year. So I want to reprioritize, those programs, and to see how we can either prevent them from being cut, increase their funding, or at least secure some exemptions for the insular areas, because we're very unique from the states, and if we can be sort of exempt from those cuts, I think that would be very beneficial, not just to the people of the Northern Marianas, but to everyone throughout the insular area. So those are the first three things I'm going to do: is make a lot of friends, focus on revitalizing our economy, and reprioritizing social assistance programs.
Dr. G, you've been a lifelong educator.
Yes.
What are your plans to improve education here in the CNMI?
Oh, I have a lot of plans.
I think you can summarize it.
Gosh, it's because I've spent over almost 30 years on that. Like, that's a big question. I think what I would push for, and is consistent with President Trump's agenda, is to give students from kindergarten up through higher ed more options. In terms of funding, in terms of access, in terms of the types of education. For instance, right now, the current budget reconciliation bill not only is going to cut Pell funding, but increase the minimum requirement to qualify for Pell funding. So that does not help part-time students. We were working very closely with the American Association of Community Colleges, the Association of Community College Trustees, and a lot of our partners in the national level to reduce that to allow for what's called short-term Pell. And short-term Pell would allow someone who's currently working to use Pell funding, not just to avail of, programs that have less credits than a full load, but also open up access to short-term certificate programs so that you could do what's called credential stacking. And that would allow students to, use funds for some of the certification programs that NMC offers, but also some of the certification programs that NM Tech offers. Because right now, those options are not available. So I think what I've learned in my about 30 years of education is that everyone is so unique and their educational needs are so unique that we need to empower them with more options. One thing that is being proposed in the Big Beautiful Bill is more support for school choice for K-12. And I do think that we ought to allow parents who would prefer to go to a private school to have some assistance. I'm not saying it has to be a dollar for dollar match, but our public school system has done a very good job of supporting our private schools with federal funds. But if you're a parent and you're struggling to send your kid to a private school, we ought to provide some assistance to that parent. And so that's another example of giving people more tools and resources to unlock the options that are possible in education.
Okay. Before we conclude this interview, any message to the people of the CNMI?
I guess my main message is, I have a lot of ideas about what we can do to improve the Commonwealth and to improve the lives of the people that call the Northern Marianas home. But I'm very eager to listen and learn. As a lifelong educator, one of the things I value the most is learning, and I'm constantly learning new things. I'm learning things that surprise me, things that maybe challenge my own opinions, my own positions, and I love that. I welcome that. And so I look forward to learning more from everyone in our community, to hear what great ideas they have, and to kind of use that to help all of us fight for all of us in the CNMI.